I'd like you to imagine your dream life. See the version of you who has what you want to have, feels how you want to feel, and is who you want to be. I'm Brittany Hoops, your hypnotherapist and manifestation coach, and this is the show where I'll teach you to master the full power of your mind, to guide you on your journey towards destination manifestation.
Take a step back for the ones who can't do that.
That's right. You are listening to Destination Manifestation, where I help you align your mind so that you can manifest your dreams. My name is Brittany Hoops. I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for joining us. I'm just kind of chilling in my home office today. A lot of people love Christmas or the winter holidays the most. Some people are huge Halloween fans. For me, my Super Bowl holiday, the holiday I look forward to most in the year, is the new year. I love me a good opportunity for some goal setting. And I love when everybody else is in the mood for goal setting. Because a lot of times I'm like, yeah, dreams. And everyone's like, it's summer. What are you doing? So I'm just kind of chilling here in my home office. I have big dreams for this space. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I have a very blank wall behind me. I have these like little acoustic things up, but they're kind of unsightly. But man, I wish you could see this room. It's actually really beautiful. It's got like huge ceilings, and big old windows. It's a very pretty room. It's got lots of potential. And that is what I see in it. I see its potential, and I can't wait to one day have like floor to ceiling bookcases. And you know what I really want? This is what I see on my vision board and when I visualize, right? I want beautiful artwork, probably something with flowers because I love flowers. And I want one of those little like museum lights above it. You know what I'm talking about? The like light that like shines down on the artwork. I just feel like that's just so classy. If I'm talking about it, it probably isn't classy, but I think it looks beautiful. So you will see that in the background someday, mark my words. But I just want to tell you that if you're already subscribed to this show, thank you so much. I'll be sure to tell Heisem that you listen to him, okay? Go back to episode 16 to know what I'm referencing there, okay? But today we have a very special topic. So if you're someone who feels like they just have to put in a ton of effort in order to achieve the same results that other people around you seem to just be, doing or achieving naturally, I want you to listen up because this podcast is going to be speaking directly to you. And I want to tell you a quick story about this, okay? So I had a session, one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching session with a client the other day. And this client, she is so amazing. She's a super successful painter, designer. And one day during one of our sessions, she was feeling kind of down on herself. She was wondering why all these other designers in her field who started around the same time that she started, or sometimes even before her, why they were seeing so much more success than what she felt like she was seeing in her career. And, even though she's like in the top 1% in her field, right? She was comparing herself to the people who were the top, 0.5%, right? The big household name people, right? And so she was asking herself, she was having this thought, what did I do wrong? Now, she's a very goal-driven person, right? She's very successful. She reads all these books like, The Miracle Morning and all these things, these books and these podcasts that are, lovingly, I'm sure, created by these kind of Tim Ferriss type Silicon Valley bros. And they basically tell you, you got to wake up at 3:30 a.m. each morning and do 8 hours of meditation and then another hour of journaling and exercise and all these things. And naturally, when anyone puts out any sort of self-help material, right? And they create these sort of demanding rituals, they're basically saying like, oh, do this and you'll feel this way. This is the answer, right? That's what they're selling. The answer, quote unquote, right? Here's how you can be successful like me. Whether that's the intentional message or not, that oftentimes is the message that we create and we receive from this material, right? And so my client was just like, I can't do that. Like, first of all, I'm a woman. I have a cycle. I have hormones. And like, I'm just not built for that kind of strenuous sort of routine. And here's the kicker though. Here's the thing. That just alone could be a thought. Whether it's true or not, you could determine. But what she was making that mean is essentially buying into the message that I think so many of us feel when we engage with this kind of material, which is like, okay, I'm not like you. I can't do what you do in that regard that you were saying attributed to your success. And therefore, I will not be successful. She was making it mean that she is incapable of reaching that level of success too. And so that the other painters, the other designers who were pushing themselves nonstop, who were creating at that high go, 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 go constantly level, they were going to reach a level that she could never reach. Therefore, she was cut off from that. Okay? These were the thoughts in her head. This was the story she was telling herself. They made it look so effortless and easy and like that's the way it is, which may or may not be true for them. But the question becomes, does it have to be true for you? And the answer is you get to decide. And so in today's episode, let's really explore the secret behind people who just look like they do things effortlessly, just look like they do things naturally, or they just manifest things with such ease. It just comes to them without any effort. That's what it looks like, right? Let's break this down. What's actually happening here? And how can you get there too, right? So first of all, let's be objective here, okay? Let's look at the facts. This person that you're perceiving has things so effortlessly, naturally. I'm sure you could think of somebody in your person in your life or someone that you're aware of right now, right? Ask yourself, how close are you really to them? Okay. Do you know the real story of what they think, of how they feel, of what they do? Or perhaps could this story of naturalness and ease be a story that you've created about them? Okay. Now, I mean, I would say most often when we're comparing ourselves to celebrities. We're comparing ourselves to people who are successful in the career field that we're in. We're comparing ourselves to people, influencers online, to reality TV show people. I can't tell you how many messages, especially right after Big Brother, I got of people that are like, I don't get how you stay so positive. Like, you're always so positive. I'm not that way. It's just natural to you. And they literally made me laugh because I'm like, you're just seeing what I show you. We all know this, right? Social media is the highlight reel. We know this. But it can be so easy to fall into just perceiving it as truth because it's the reality that's presented to us. So we start to believe it. And let's just say that this is true. This person who has things so effortlessly and naturally, let's just say it is true. The story that you're creating about it actually is the real story. It's based in fact. All that means is that they've just found what works for them. And so let them be an example, not in terms of what they did step by step, but let them be an example in how they discovered what works for them. It doesn't necessarily mean those exact actions will work for you, but use them as an example for that discovery process. So I want you to think of it this way. Let's just say you live in your house, wherever you're located, okay? And this person who does things so easily and naturally, they live in their house. And they're in a completely different state than you. Maybe they're in a completely different country. They live far away from you, and that's okay. And they go to this place called Destination Manifestation all the time. I mean, they got a house there, okay? They're there every weekend vacationing to Destination Manifestation. And they want to sell you the master instructions on how to get to Destination Manifestation, okay? And they say, and so you're like, great. I want to go there too. Awesome. And so you buy their step-by-step instructions. Okay. And they say, leave your house and turn left, then drive 5 miles and turn right, and then drive another 7 miles and you'll get to the highway where you'll drive 20 miles or whatever it is, right? These are the instructions to get to destination manifestation. And so you try following those step-by-step instructions, the exact steps they took. You follow those instructions from your house, and all of a sudden you're looking at it and you're driving, you're like, wait, no, this is super confusing. If I follow these instructions, I'm going to land in a lake or there's not a road to even turn there. I'm so confused. And oftentimes what we do, instead of being like, these instructions are bogus, these instructions don't work for me, we start saying, I must not be a good navigator. And we start taking that personally. Instead of realizing if I followed these instructions, I'd be driving through someone's yard. We don't realize it's because we're navigating from our house, where we are, where we live, how we be, and that they're giving instructions from their house, where they are, how they lived, where they were when they did this. And those instructions will only ever work for them since they are in their house, right? Those processes only work for them because they are them. And so you need to find the route that's going to work for you. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't both end up at the same destination manifestation. Doesn't even mean that you guys won't both take the same highway. You probably will at some points. There might be overlap in your routes. It's just that the most comfortable, the most fun, the easiest route to that destination from your house is going to look very different. It's going to be filled with different twists and turns, and only you know the best route to get there, to get you there. You can't copy their route turn by turn. And that's what's so tricky, because that process, the figuring out the route process, is a much harder process to teach. And I would say even more than that, it's a much harder process to sell than selling, I can get you here if you just think of this, right? I mean, think of it this way. Say that there's 2 people and one is offering you, you can pay blah, blah, blah amount of money, and I will teach you how to figure out the route for yourself. It's going to be hard work and you're going to have to put in some effort, but once you figure it out, you'll know the route for you and you'll have the skill. Versus the other person's like, I'm going to give you the step-by-step script on what you can do to reach this place. I'll give you step-by-step. All you have to do is repeat my words and repeat my actions, and you will get that result. No thinking required. Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody sell it like exactly that way, but I've certainly seen scripts and steps and this and that, right? Which one are you going to buy? It would be natural for us to be like, I don't really want to think. I'm looking for ease. I don't want to have to put effort or thought into this. They figured it out. I'll just, copy them step by step, and then I'll get their result. The problem is what worked for them is not guaranteed to work for you. You aren't going from the same houses. Those same routes aren't necessarily going to work. And we think it's the action that gets us there, but it's actually the skill of finding what works for them that's actually more important. I was kind of thinking about this on Instagram stories the other day. Like, sometimes I have one-on-one clients that get a little mad at me because they'll ask me, they'll say, Brittany, what should I do here? Like, what do I need to do? Just tell me what to do. And I will never tell them what to do. I just won't do it. That erodes the integrity of a coach, whether it's me or somebody else. Anybody who's telling you exactly what to do, that's not their job, because they don't live in your house. They don't have that route. They know what's worked for them. They know what's worked for other people. They can give you ideas. And so they get mad at me because I never tell them what to do. Even if they straight up ask me, I'm not the expert in their life. But what I am the expert in, is showing you, teaching you, facilitating sessions for your conscious and your subconscious mind that can help you figure out what works for you. That process that's not nearly as sexy, we do that one because it works. Because it's the only route that's actually going to get you there. Even if it's not as sexy, it's the route that gets you there. And I even had one of my most recent clients tell me, and it really meant a lot. I believe she's a podcast listener, so if you hear this, thank you. But she said, when I posted this Instagram story, she said, that's one of the reasons I work with you, because she knows that she's going to be able to come up with the best plan and the best route for herself. And that route is going to work because it's rooted in her truth. It's the directions from her house. And that skill is invaluable. So figuring out what works for you, like let's figure that piece out, right? Because that's the $1 million question. What does that look like? What does that skill look like? Now, let me offer you some ideas. Some of these may resonate, some of them may not. You're the only one who knows. It might require doing a bunch of different things, testing out a bunch of different things, casting a wide net, figuring out what routines, what activities, what mindsets, what feels the best to you, what fits for you in your life and your intuition and how you feel. It's kind of like going shopping at a store for clothing. You grab like 8 different things off the rack, then you go into the fitting room and you're like, oh, okay, this doesn't look quite as great as I thought it did on the mannequin. Or you might try something else on and you're like, I was kind of iffy about this. This was a last minute grab, but actually it's beautiful. You got to try it on to know if it fits. And the real trick with all this experimenting, all this noticing, all this observing, it's great to kind of do it in like a third person perspective, like, an unbiased perspective. And the real trick is to do it without judgment, releasing any and all thoughts that we might have about it. You might suck at it at first, and that is okay. Like that is part about doing something new. You're going to be the least skilled at it you could possibly be the first time you do it. But each time you notice, each time you observe, each time you figure these things out, each time you do it, you get better. And so maybe this includes one day waking up at 3 a.m. and doing that exact routine that super successful person prescribed. Maybe you give it a go. Maybe you decide to observe yourself as you're doing. You take copious notes. You do a debrief with yourself after, asking yourself, okay, what worked about this routine today? What felt like a hell yes? What made me more energized? What set my day off on a better trajectory? Maybe there's some things to take from that. Also notice what felt like a chore. What felt like something you had to do or should have done, but something inside you felt a little uneasy about it. And you're like, this just isn't me. And then you refine. You take what worked, you put it in a pile, you discard all the rest. Then you take what worked and you take all those hell yes things and you begin to tweak them. And so maybe it's more like, okay, well, actually, I needed more sleep. I don't do so good without this little sleep, but I really love these 2 things that I did. So I'm actually going to ditch all the other ones and I'll just focus on these 2. Like you literally experiment. It's beginning to prioritize your intuition over what someone else says or what someone else does. It's sampling. It doesn't mean you can't read the books. We love to be inspired. Like read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, take everything. Hell, even this own podcast, take what you want from it. Some of this might not resonate with you, in which case I would wholeheartedly suggest that you throw it out. Okay. You want to sample. It kind of reminds me, I went to NYU I went to theater school for college. And the NYU theater school system, if you're unfamiliar, is kind of like Hogwarts. It has like these different like houses. That's the best way I can describe it. They're called studios, but they have these different acting studios and they all teach a different style of acting. Okay. And you're assigned your NYU Hogwarts house when you first get accepted into the school and you know which studio you're going to study with. I think it's for like 2 years, maybe 3 of your 4. I think it's at least 2 years. You have to stay with one studio for 2 years. And so you learn the method of acting with that. In my case, I went to Lee Strasberg. I learned method acting, which, by the way, is a whole other podcast about how detrimental method acting is now that I understand the subconscious mind. It's basically hypnotizing ourselves with our own trauma to elicit real tears, which is like torture. But anyways, I digress. What's cool about that system, though, is you get to try one school and then you can go and try another one. And then you could go to another completely different school. You could go to the experimental theater wing, or you could learn Stella Adler, or you could go learn Shakespeare. You could learn all these different styles. You get to sample and what you're ultimately looking to do is to take what works at some place and get rid of the rest, and then take what works somewhere else and combine it. And you're basically creating your own style of acting. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is that you sample. There's no right or wrong answer, although I will say many of the teachers believe that they have the right or the wrong answer, but you get to create your own. And so how can you begin to do that with all the inspiration we have around us? Oh my God, there's so many people who have the answers. And you just have to see it for what it is. And if I am ever sounding like this, like, please tell me. I don't ever intend to have all the answers. What I intend is to offer up a bunch of different potential answers. And then if that resonates with you, amazing. And if it doesn't, we just keep on exploring. But so many people are like, we have the answers. And I want you to just be inspired by what's around you and not take it as truth, because it will only be truth to you if it resonates with you. That's your only truth. Your truth is going to be different than my truth. And so that's ultimately what this client that I was telling you the story about, that's what she did. She created experiments for herself to tune in and figure out what worked best for her. She had to come to the point where she accepted who she was. She honored who she was. She loved who she was. And she looked at her routines and her productivity and the way that she operated her artwork and her business. And she looked at this and said, okay, I'm going to honor myself and figure out what works for me. And she just kept tweaking it until she had a routine that was source created. And when I say source created, I mean the source within you, the source that is connected to all that is. The universe exists, and then you're just kind of this little like bloop, taken out, your soul put into your human form, connected to source, but like kind of like in this like long string of energy, this connection to all that is. And your source and your truth and what works for you is going to resonate. It's that feeling of like, yes, this feels right. This feels easy. This feels natural to me, right? That's source created. And you borrow an idea here and you tweak another idea there. And maybe these combination of two ideas helps you create your own idea that you've never heard from anybody else, but your own intuition. And you keep perfecting it until it's just right, until it's yours. And that's how you figure out your specific formula for success. And so if the goal here is a sense of ease, a sense of effortlessness. Now we discussed multiple things, right? We discussed that this may or may not even be true. This might be a story we're telling ourselves about somebody that isn't even true. They're just hiding their struggle from us. B, we discussed that it might mean that it's true, but all that it means is that they just figured out what works for them. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the exact thing that works for them will be the exact same thing that works for you. But let's hone in on the third thing, which is what are we all truly wanting here? Okay, we're wanting the process to be easy and natural to us. That's the goal. And so how do we get at that? How do we manifest things with a greater sense of ease, where it just kind of happens? It just feels so natural to me. So that when that happens, we just kind of like, boop, 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 we pop along one thing to another, enjoying the process, not worrying about if it will happen, but just trusting, right? Because when things are easy, we trust. Or perhaps it's the other way around. When we trust, things become easier. That's it. It feels like when things are easy, we trust, but actually the trust comes first. When we trust, things become easier. And so we tune in to our source. We tune in to that connection that we have to our higher self, trusting that we already have all the answers. I mean, put on that thought for size. What if you already have all the answers? Don't you feel the relief in that? I will tell you, that is the biggest, most beautiful thing I have learned about myself from hypnotherapy. I know that I have the skill to access my subconscious mind. And I, Brittany, the conscious mind, Brittany, who's talking to you right now, doesn't have to have the answers, but I always have access to this place within me that knows exactly what to do. And this trust, knowing that I have this skill of hypnosis and this practice of hypnotherapy, whether I do it myself through self-hypnosis, whether I use an audio to help me, whether I go and see my own hypnotherapist. There are multiple levels of how to get at this level of trust, but it's this trust that has revolutionized my life and my business. I am not kidding. I'm not in constant problem solving mode. Do you ever find your brain just constantly like, I gotta solve this. I gotta do this. Like, what do I do next? What do I do next? Freaking out. No, when you know you have the answers and all I gotta do is quiet my mind and tune in, everything just kind of like, it just quiets down. And here's the thing. We are all born with this natural ability. We are all born with this natural ability. It's like the sun that always exists behind the clouds. And the clouds are formed by the stormy thoughts of our overthinking, of our second guessing, of our looking to others for the answers. Oh, what routine do they do? Oh, well, this is what they did for success. And so that means I have to do that. That's the clouds, right? And it's just clouding up and crowding out the sun of our own inner knowing of what's best for us. And oh yes, it is so natural. It is so easy when you're just tuned in. It's natural and easy to feel good when the sun is streaming on your face. That feels good to let the sun in, to trust that it will be there. And so how do you intentionally part those clouds, allow those clouds to dissipate? What really helps is getting in the right state of mind. And sometimes this might take a little deliberate attention and practice. It's coming up with the thoughts and thinking them ahead of time. Now, this is kind of similar to something that Sarah Arnold Hall back in episode 12 shared about coming up with a list of thoughts and thinking them ahead of time. And I'm not going to kid you. I do this every single day before I start work. Before I work on my business, I do this every day. The first thing on my to-do list in my routine for my business before I start work is to think specific thoughts. Let me pull it up. I'm going to share it with you. Let's just get in this. So I'm looking literally at my list right now and I say, here's the first thought I think. Love and fun is the energy of a successful money producing business that I want to run. I connect with the CEO, which is my higher power. That's what I mean, guys. I don't have to know the answers. I'm not even the CEO of my company. My higher power, my source connection is the CEO. It's in that space that I make the decisions on what to move next. And I think the thoughts like, this is my dream job. And every day I give thanks for getting to do it. I want to discover how my programs can connect me to others. I freaking get paid to do what I love to do and to help other people. I did it. Yay me. And I'm doing it. Yay me. I'm open to the inspiration around me. The best clients find me. It feels so good to know that the best ideas come to me. I'm open to new possibilities. I stay focused on my vision. I will move forward one step at a time. Each thing I do brings me closer to my goals. I can always find my calm. I know that the sun exists. Even on a cloudy day in my mind, I know that the sun is there. And so this is just kind of like a little sampling of what I do. And in a way, it's kind of a version, if you're into Abraham Hicks, it's kind of a version of Abraham Hicks' segment intending. It's literally starting out the segment of, for me, it's working on my business. But for you, it could be anything. It could be anything where you notice your thoughts going a little haywire, where you would like your thoughts to be more aligned with where you want to go. It's like segment intending. It's thinking the thoughts ahead of time so that it creates the emotions that you want to operate in. Because once I read those thoughts, I'm like, hell yeah, I can do this. And I have a great day and I create amazing things and I help people. And it's just like, boom, it just works. It's like setting up the dominoes. The thought is the first domino and everything else, you just flick that and it goes all the way down. It's about not creating turbulence in your own mind. I mean, think about it this way. Airline pilots, right? They avoid turbulence And one of the simplest ways that they can avoid turbulence, I researched this, is that they just avoid areas with thunderstorms, right? They keep track of the weather patterns and they avoid those areas as much as they can. It's the same thing in our own lives. How do we avoid this mental turbulence? It's the same thing as avoiding the drama. So let me ask you, where's the drama in the thing that feels really hard for you right now? Maybe you attribute that drama to a person, to a specific environment. But actually, I want to challenge and say that it's most likely a thought in your head about those things. How are you thinking about that person, about that situation, about that environment? That's most likely what's creating the drama. Another Abraham Hicks thing is that they call this following the path of least resistance, right? That's the ease and the flow, finding the route that's easiest for you. The other day, I saw somebody compare it to like, do you want to be a salmon that's trying to like flip-flop their way? This is me being a salmon, flip-flop their way upstream. Or do you want to be a dolphin that surfs, that goes with the waves, that allows things to be easy? I'm sure you can think of some people in your life that it just seems like chaos follows them. I definitely have some people in my life that are that way, that it's almost funny. It's just like chaos just follows them. And what's so interesting is you can see what's happening on like a neuroscientific level here, right? Their brains are primed to look for conflict, to look for problems that they can solve last minute, right? They're always like on alert. They're like, where's the problem? Because they want to solve it. Because they've gotten into an addiction. They've gotten into a habit of that dopamine hit that they get when they save the day. You know, they get addicted to that feeling of like, whew, all right, we're good. That adrenaline rush and then that like solving it sort of thing. That becomes addictive. And so how do we begin to move from a place of chaos and addiction to the chemicals, the stress chemicals that are going throughout our bodies and our minds? And how do we break that addiction and feel the reward and having things go smoothly and easily for you? How much easier can you make this? I mean, think about this area of your life that you just want to be easy and effortless. How much easier can you make it? How much simpler could this be? And this might mean that you need to feel more open, more calm, more carefree, more content. Feel what that feels like in your body. It's just like this, like, it's this relief, right? What would you need to believe to feel this way more consistently? Maybe you need to believe that things can be easy. I can be easy with all of this. I trust it's going to work out. I trust that I have the answers. I'm letting go of the ifs and I'm embracing the whens. When is this going to happen? It's not a matter of if, it's when. I trust in this process. I can find fun and ease. I'm going to search for the elements of fun here in this easy process. The more ease that I can let in, the more joy I cultivate in this process. That's right, because when you give your brain these instructions, like some of those thoughts I just offered you, when you give your brain those instructions, it's no longer searching for problems, it's searching and filtering for ease. And then things just seem to kind of go nicely right along, right? It's easy. That's how it becomes just natural to you. And that's what's so interesting is like, it literally something that is natural, right? I'm trying to think of like, what's something that we think, this person just, this person's like a natural born, like, violinist or something, right? Like they just do it and just looks so easy. They're just like, you know, obviously I don't play violin, but it just looks so easy. They're just like playing this music and it's just beautiful, right? That's a subconscious process. They're not thinking, move my hand this way and move my wrists and no, it's like, it's on autopilot for them. It's just a natural, effortless process for them because it's a subconscious process. And I like to think of it this way. My husband, he believes that he is the luckiest person ever. He really, truly does believe that he's lucky. And I believe him too. I mean, not only because he's married to me, but like because he has a lot of luck in his life. And it's so funny because I think he won, like when he was really little, he won a bike at this carnival, at this fair. And like, that's a big deal to a little kid, right? He won it. Like, how lucky. And so like at a young age, that imprinted like, oh, wow, I'm a lucky person. And then I think a few years later, he entered into this writing contest that he got to be on the field during an Eagles game. He's a Phillies boy. So this was a big deal. He got to meet the head coach and he got to go to an Eagles game because he won this contest. He's a lucky person. And it's so funny that these beliefs that, for him was created younger in life have followed him throughout his life. I mean, God, he just won like $100 just randomly the other day. I just get this text. He's like, I just won $100. I'm like, yay, keep it up. Great. Like, he is a lucky person because he believes in his luck. And so it's just so interesting that things that come naturally to us is because we have a solid belief there. And I'll challenge you to think of this. Most things that appear to just come naturally to other people are usually the products of a tremendous amount of practice. That violinist didn't come naturally. Practice a lot so that it could become effortless. The only thing that's truly natural here in many of these things is the desire. That's the initial natural thing. Practice is what makes something look or appear so easy. Practice is what makes something go from like a conscious activity where I need to like type the keyboard to just being able to just type without thinking of it. It goes from conscious mind to subconscious mind. It's repetition and practice that moves it from conscious mind to subconscious mind. And I also mean this with your mental habits, the habitual thoughts you think. It is practice of consciously thinking the thoughts you want to think so that they become habitual and just are your subconscious thoughts or just the thoughts that you effortlessly think each and every day. You won't ever get yourself to practice if you don't think that thoughts that are aligned with your desire. It's all about creating new beliefs that things can be easy for you. So how are you going to do that here today? All right. I just want to thank you, travelers. Thank you for joining us here today on this journey towards destination manifestation. And by no means am I handing you a step-by-step Google Maps printout. Maybe I should have said MapQuest. That would date me. I'm not handing you the printout of the route. You have to figure out the route, but I hope that this podcast here today is going to help you figure out your route towards destination manifestation. You were absolutely incredible. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. I want to make sure that you get the next episode. It could be just the thing that you need for your manifestations. And if you've enjoyed this episode, and if you felt like you've learned something valuable about how to infuse more ease into your life, I have something super easy that I want to ask of you, which is to pay it forward and to leave a rating and review for the show. Okay? All it takes is just writing up something in like 2 seconds, and be sure to take a screenshot of what you wrote and then DM me that screenshot. My Instagram handle is brit.hoops, and I'll send you a destination manifestation ball cap. Yeah, they're really cute. I swear, they're really, really cute. So if you're within the US and as long as supplies last, which I have a lot of them, so you'll get one, send that my way. All music for this podcast is by AQ. And remember, it's your intuition that knows your unique path. I'll catch you next time.